Today in our 2008 Ford F-450, we're going to take a look at and also show you how to install the DeeZee truck bed auxiliary tank. Now, to make our installation go a lot easier, we're also going to be using the DeeZee connector kit. This is part number DeeZee97960. Here's what our auxiliary tank is going to look like once we have it installed in the vehicle. As you can see, the aluminum diamond plate finish gives it a really nice look, but it's also going to keep it corrosion resistant, not going to have to worry about rusting and things like that. Now, they've designed this tank to be very effective at what it does, hauling auxiliary fuel for your pickup truck that goes right into the fuel filler neck, but they've also provided you with an extra hole. So if you want your fuel filler on the same side you fill your truck up, that's pretty common. On the other side, if you wanted to put in a crank pump or something like that to fill other equipment, you'd be able to do that. Now, inside of the tank, they've designed it so we're not going to have that sloshing effect that we can typically get out of tanks. There's actually 3 baffles designed in the tank to minimize that going side to side. Another thing they've done to make our tank a very long-lasting product is that they've rounded our edges off in most of the cases here, except for, of course, the top and the bottom, but they've rounded these off as much as they could on every angle, just to reduce any pressure points that we might have on the welds. Now, these tanks do comply with the DOT standards for the UN31A and UN31B ratings. Now, the fuel filler cap here is something you just press down and turn on. Now, this is going to be a ventilated cap, so this will allow for those excess pressures to escape. You can see we've also have that nice rubber grommet that's going to go around and fully seal up our tank, so we don't have any leakages or any issues like that. When it's right time to install, we're just going to place it on there, push down, and rotate it to keep that nice and secure. Now, you will notice a small hole that's right here in the top of the cap. If you're using a small 1/4-inch lock, you could actually pass that down through there, secure it here on the bottom, and the tab we've got right here will make contact with that lock and prevent it from loosening up so nobody can actually gain access into your tank. You can see that's available on both sides here and here. Just give you a pretty quick way to secure that if you have the need. Now, to begin our installation, we want to get in the truck bed here and position our tank where we want it to be installed. In our case today, on our 450, we're leaving it just a little bit over to the passenger side to give us room to get into that petcock, but also because there were already holes drilled here for an auxiliary fuel tank, and we want to kind of go with those rather than creating new ones. So once we get it in position here where we want it, the first thing we need to decide is at what angle we need our 90° to be off of our, you can see your emergency shutoff valve there. That's going to be threaded right into the end of the tank. Then once that's threaded in, we'll have our hose that comes off the end. It's going to go right down through that whole location. So once threaded in, it looks like we want that to be maybe coming out of there at about a 3 o'clock, maybe 3:30 position. So we've got that sorted out. Now, we're going to mark the holes for our fuel tank in our bed. We're going to use 3/8" diameter bolts, so we're also going to enlarge this hole. When we do that, we'll use a 25/64 bit. We'll also do the same thing where it's going to meet up with the front of the vehicle here, on the back side of the bulkhead. We'll just move that out of the way. We can drill out our holes and then get our tank set up. All right, now we're going to pull the plug that's in the bung here at the end of the tank. That's where we're going to be threading in our valve. We'll want to use some good high quality thread sealant when we do that, just to make sure that we get a good seal, we won't have any leaks. That should be about where we want it. We want to give this a few minutes to seal up, of course, before we put any fluids in it. But so if you're using a different type of sealant, just allow whatever it says on that sealant for dry time. As you can see, they've given us an adapter that fits into the top of the tank for our cap. Now this can be positioned on the passenger side or the driver's side, whatever you prefer. But you will also want to get this sealed up so we don't have any issues. Now while we've got our sealant out, it's a good idea to grab your adapter. It's going to run in line on your fuel filler neck. And our valve, this has a plastic float in there that's going to come up and seal this. That's going to mean when your gas tank is full in your truck, the tank's going to remain idle. But as soon as that fuel level drops down, it's going to allow that fuel to start feeding into our tank from the auxiliary tank. This should also be sealed up properly. Then we're going to thread this into our adapter here. And we'll want that to run in line with it. This is going to go in line on our fuel filler neck, so we want it to be pretty much in line with that. Our next step is going to be getting our adapter put in place. We've got the metal filler tube that's going to come down to the filler hose. The end of that's going to be about right here. You'll feel a little bump there. So we want to be sure that we get past there. We're going to go kind of somewhere in here. And we're going to need to remove enough area for this weld to kind of sit in there. So we're going to have about 1.5 inches to 2 inches there. And that's going to be pretty much right here. Kind of right at the end or kind of in the middle of this. So I'm going to cut this back. I want to get this back to about here. Before you cut that off though, you will want to wrap it up with a zip tie. It kind of frays out and can get pretty nasty. So we'll just take our zip tie and put it back just behind where we plan on cutting it. I had to just keep that from unraveling fully. Now we'll be able to slide one of our hose clamps, the larger size, over each end of our fuel filler neck there, and slide in our adapter. Get our other side in there. Now once those are in, we need to rotate this to where it's pretty close to being up on the top. Kind of like that. We can't get it up there too high, of course, because it's going to hit the bed, but get it pretty close. And then if you feel at the end of that adapter, like right here is where that bump out is. Just want to be sure we get our hose clamps in behind that. And we can just trim those tag ends off there. After we slide a hose clamp on, we'll take the smaller line that comes with our kit, and we want to slide that all the way up on that 90-degree fitting. Just like that. You'll see those two bumps. Bring our hose clamp up, position it so it's over those, and snug it down. Something else that's not a bad idea to do is just take a little piece of wire loom. This is a 1/2 inch wire loom. We've got it available on our website. And bring that down and over that hose where it's going to be passing through the truck bed. And then right at the tip here, we'll throw a zip tie around it just to hold it in place there. All right, now we can get our tank in position. As we do that, we want to feed our hose down through the hole. Now you'll see our two holes here and here that were already drilled in the truck from a previous installation. We're going to be going down through one of those. If you don't already have holes here, which is going to be most of you since you're putting in a fuel tank for the first time, I like to go right up in this corner with a 3/4 inch hole saw. That gives you plenty of room to pass through. And then you'll set your angle on that 90-degree fitting. Instead of being at 330 so it comes back this way, you'll set it about 7 o'clock looking at the end of it. Now we'll just realign our tank with those holes and use our hardware to secure it. Now for our lower mounting locations, we'll just pass through our bolt so it comes out of the underside there. We'll put our nylon lock nut and another flat washer on the bottom of it, and we'll give the same treatment to the back here. Now as we slide our bolts in place, there is going to be a gap between the flange and the bulkhead itself down here below it. So we're just going to use a little spacer, cylinder-shaped spacer. We'll put our bolt right through that so that when we tighten it down, it's going to give us a little bit of play there, or a little bit of room so it'll sandwich on that rather than crushing our bracket or the bed. Now to the back of those, we'll add another flat washer, put our nylon lock nut on there, and get it tightened down. Once we have both sides started, it's a good time to tighten it down. We'll add our hardware to the bottom and cinch those down as well. Once we've got those through on each side, we'll just need somebody in the bed of the truck to hold the bolt head while we get them tightened down. Now we can bring our smaller line up. We need to match it up there to the elbow. It's okay to leave a little bit of extra. If we have any leaks or anything like that in the future, we'll be able to take care of them. We're going to slide our hose clamp on. You want to be sure that you can actually get to the nut on it. We'll get that slid right on. Bring our hose clamp up. Then we just have to tighten that down. That smaller clamp's going to use a 1/4 inch socket or bit driver. All right, now we're ready to fill the tank with fuel. Check it out, make sure we don't have any leaks. Now with no leaks detected, that's going to complete our installation of the DeeZee truck bed auxiliary tank, part number DeeZee 91752X on our 2008 Ford F-450.